know that the people in Louisiana are going to do everything they can to make sure the Hornets stay in the city of New Orleans. Many of the people in this room and the people in the city work very hard to get them here. In our communications with the commissioner, I feel very comfortable that the NBA is committed to keeping the team in New Orleans too. But the big message is the future of the Hornets in the city of New Orleans is in our hands. We knew from the very beginning when the team came here that it was important for people in Louisiana to fully support them and to buy the tickets. We have to continue to do that. And now with the ownership of the team in play, we have to do everything that we can to make sure that the Hornets remain a team for the state of Louisiana and the city of New Orleans. I'm fully confident that with the people in this room and the fan base that we are going to be successful in making sure that the Hornets stay with us. As you know, we have been a great partner for the NBA. They have been a great partner for us. We have hosted one All-Star game, and we hope to continue to host many others. The Hornets have a huge economic impact for the state of Louisiana and for the city, and we look forward to moving forward as a team to be very aggressive in making sure that we buy the tickets that are necessary to secure the placement of the Hornets here and put together a leadership team that is going to own the Hornets going forward and that they stay with us for a very long period of time. The governor has been an incredible leader in this effort and a great partner, as have all the men and women standing behind me, and they have committed again this morning to do what is necessary to make sure that the Hornets stay with us. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to the governor. Governor, thank you again for your leadership on this effort, and also to my fellow parish presidents. They have been fantastic in putting together the business leadership from their parishes as well to assist in this effort. Governor Jindal, thank you very much.
I want to thank the mayor for hosting us. I want to thank the impressive group of community and business leaders you see assembled before you. I especially want to thank our regional leaders. As you can see by the attendance of 4 parish presidents, this is not just a New Orleans issue, this is a regional issue. Indeed, this is a state issue. We had a very productive conversation today, and I want to reiterate a couple of points that Mitch has already made. First, it is absolutely important for us to keep the Hornets here, and he's absolutely right that really their future is in our hands. One of the things we can do in the short term is important that our people show up and support the Hornets. What that means is there are 12 games between now and the end of January. If we have over 14,800 tickets sold for those next 12 games, what that means is that the Hornets lease is automatically committed here for at least another year. As you know, we've got a lease through 2014. They've got an exit clause that is dependent on a 2-year rolling average attendance. Bottom line is we're asking the people of Southeast Louisiana, we're asking the people of the region to buy those tickets, to show up, cheer on the Hornets. They're doing great in the arena. They're doing great out there on the floor. It is important that we show up and support them. So now's the time, whether you buy them as Christmas gifts, we're asking businesses and employers to buy tickets for their employees. And we had some great commitments today from folks from regional chambers of commerce. We got great commitments from individual employers that they're going to go out there and buy tickets either for their employees or to give back to the community for school groups and other folks to attend these games. Now's the time to show your support for the Hornets. That does a couple of things. One, it certainly guarantees the Hornets continue to stay here and gives us time to continue to work with the NBA. But even more importantly, it shows the NBA that we're serious about supporting our Hornets. It shows the NBA, shows the league that we're serious about keeping the Hornets here. Really, their future is in our hands, and I want to strongly encourage folks. They make great Christmas gifts. It is a great opportunity to reward your employees. Whether you can buy tickets for one game, for a couple of games, now's the time to show your support for the team. Not tomorrow, but today. We strongly encourage people to go out and buy their tickets. New Orleans Inc. is helping, Greater New Orleans Inc. is helping us to help coordinate some of those efforts from employers. But what also encouraged me is the parish presidents talked about getting their regional chambers involved as well. And again, I want to thank several of these individual business leaders behind us who also talked about their efforts to go out and encourage their colleagues to buy tickets for their employees and their customers and their suppliers as well. But to the average fan out there, the everyday fan out there, here's your opportunity to show your support for the Hornets. Here's your opportunity to help keep them right here in New Orleans, help keep them right here in Louisiana. The second thing we talked about was the importance of local ownership for the team. Certainly, buying the tickets over the next 12 games helps to keep the Hornets here for the immediate short term, and that's a great thing, that's a positive thing, shows the NBA that we're serious. Obviously, the real solution here is for a local ownership group to buy the Hornets to keep them in Louisiana. Several individuals here talked about their willingness to step up and buy an equity stake in the team, and so I know there are conversations that will continue after today. about business leaders getting together to put together that coalition to buy the team and keep them here. We had a meeting as recently as Friday. My staff met with Hugh and Jack Sperling, Hugh Weber and Jack Sperling, about keeping the Hornets here in Louisiana, in New Orleans, and we continue to have those conversations. I talked with the commissioner as well last week. We continue to have productive conversations with the NBA. But two important products of today's meeting: one, commitment to buy those tickets to keep the Hornets here, but then secondly, we know there'll be ongoing conversations. Several folks talked specifically about their interest in buying an equity stake. Bottom line to the folks listening, reading, watching out there, now's the time to buy your tickets. Help us keep the Hornets here. The best thing we can do, hack the arena, let's buy those tickets over the next 12 games. They'll make a huge difference, keeping them here, showing the NBA we're serious about keeping the Hornets right here in Louisiana.
Thank you, Governor. Kevin.
Certainly, I want to thank the governor and the mayor for getting this all together. For our perspective on the North Shore, certainly we're committed, as we have been on all of our regional issues. Today, as we talk to the governor and the mayor to tell them of our commitment, actually tonight when I go back to the North Shore, we will be getting with our business community to make sure that we buy some tickets so that we can keep the Hornets here in New Orleans. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Governor. Again, this is a challenge, but it also is another opportunity for us to work together on a regional basis. This is not only just the New Orleans Hornets, but it's actually a team that is good economically for the entire metropolitan area. In fact, Jefferson Parish hosts a practice facility for the Hornets at the Alaro Center with state funding that has been expanded and renovated. We also are the home for the New Orleans Saints training facility. So again, this is important to all of us on a regional basis and, as the governor said, on a state basis. And I want to thank not only the elected leadership, but our business community and our civic community. And I'm going to go back to Jefferson Parish, and we will have our commitment that our business council and our chamber and our businesses in Jefferson Parish will continue to support the Hornets and continue to make the short-term goal achievable, and also to allow us the long-term goal of providing local ownership for the Hornets so that we can keep them here for years to come. And finally, as James Crawford said in the other room, we cannot afford to lose the Hornets. So it's up to us now to make sure that we keep the Hornets here in New Orleans for the benefit of our entire metropolitan area. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and the Governor. Clackamas Parish has our night at the High Friday night, and we've continued to do this over the years and bringing kids from our parish to enjoy the game. We get school buses and bring them over. So we're encouraging companies to come out and do the same thing, whether it be Friday night for the game for Clackamas Parish, or sponsor a school and get those kids out there. As well, there's 12 suites available for every home game that you can rent on an individual basis. We're encouraging companies to step up to the plate and bring your employees to the suite, as well as buying tickets for the individual games to help us achieve this goal. And I'm just proud to be part of the team. Thank you.
Thank you. In St. Bernard Parish, we also see it as a win-win quality of life issue for the entire region. I want to thank the mayor and the governor for their continued leadership in keeping the Hornets where they belong. As many of you know, many of us up here grew up with a rich sports history in this town, and we certainly don't want to have future generations miss that. I think it's important also to recognize, again, the metropolitan and regional cooperation. I think it's not by accident that the slogan "Passion, Pride, and Purpose" that you see at the arena also applies to this mission and this challenge that we will certainly overcome. Thank you.
We have a lot of fantastic business people up here, so to represent them, I'm going to ask Greg Lucevich, the New Orleans Business Council, and Henry Coach, who's the head of the city's new economic development partnership, just to give brief remarks as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Governor. The business community is actively engaged in these discussions, and we are absolutely committed to keeping the Hornets in New Orleans. We will work tirelessly not to lose the Hornets. We want them here. We are galvanized as a regional community, regional business community in each parish, with each parish president and with our mayor and governor on putting together a very fierce effort to maintain the Hornets. We'll be discussing our exact plan on Thursday in greater detail, but let there be no doubt that the business community is fully engaged and will make a tireless effort and strive to succeed in keeping the Hornets here in New Orleans where they need to be. And we're striving for this. More on Thursday on our exact plan. we'll keep the Hornets here. Thank you.
Governor, Mr. Mayor, I think it's important to understand that the economic impact of the Hornets is over $200 million to our region. We will continue to work together with GNO Inc. to coordinate ticket purchases and work with Morris Bart and others that want to own the team. Thank you.
With that, thank you. The clear message, and I always go to the best messenger that we have, one of our great ambassadors, James Carver, who said, we're in it to win it, and we cannot afford to lose this team. James, those sentiments are perfectly articulated, as always. Why don't you come make them yourself?
Thank the governor and both the mayor for putting this together, these past presidents. My point is that we're really on a trajectory in terms of what's going on nationally, our image, and people want to invest here, and I just think it's tremendously important, and as do these political leaders, that we keep the team here. And it's really heartening to see the community come behind us. And I think we're going to be able to do it. I'm optimistic. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Governor.
All right, in closing, and just to summarize, everybody can do their part. The future of the team is in our hands, buying tickets and then putting an ownership group together, and I feel completely comfortable that we will be able to meet this challenge as we have in the past. So with that, thank you all so much for coming, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Governor Jindal, obviously, you talked about the tickets and the suites, and that is tremendously important, but Commissioner Stern last week in his conference call had alluded to creative ways to find revenue streams for the franchise. Obviously, you talk about cuts to higher education and spending money. Is there potentially a way to work a deal somewhat similar to the Saints deal that's a creative way to get the team some state funding, and do you feel a responsibility to that?
Sure, three things. One, we've been talking not only to Commissioner Stern and the NBA, we've been talking to the owners and the Hornets directly now for several months on a variety of ideas to keep the Hornets here. We've been very clear that the following points. Absolutely, we're willing to sit down and work with them creatively. We've talked about some very specific ideas that would help the Hornets, like the Saints, to earn more of their revenues and become more financially stable and be able to stay here for the long term. Second, we've made it clear, though, that we're certainly not going to take money away from higher education or health care to give to the Hornets. That wouldn't be responsible. And I don't think that'd be good for the state. I don't think that'd be good for the Hornets, quite frankly, in terms of building state support to keep the team here. But absolutely, there are creative ideas that would give them the ability to earn the dollars to stay here. I'll give you just one example. It's a great economic benefit for the state to host the NBA All-Star Game. Not every community wants that game. New Orleans has proven its ability to host that game. That's a great economic impact for the community and for the state. So there are opportunities with the Hornets where there are win-win situations where the state can help the Hornets to earn more money that also benefits the state. So absolutely, we're committed to working with them creatively, and they appreciate their gratitude for that, their willingness to do the same. As recently as Friday, they made it very clear they're not in a position to know exactly what they're yet asking for. We asked them, are you looking for something in the short term? Are you looking for something in the longer term? That's not something they've decided yet. Obviously, there's some other challenges facing the league as well. They've got some labor uncertainties, and potentially, the outcome of those negotiations could certainly impact what happens here in New Orleans and Louisiana. But to answer your question, absolutely, we're willing to be creative and help the Hornets earn more to make them a more financially viable team. But we're at the same time, I don't think it'd be responsible to take money from higher ed or healthcare to give to a sports team, and so we're not going to do that.
Well, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Governor, how big a threat do you see coming from Seattle? We have the CEO of Microsoft who was richer than Santa Claus and just cashed $2 billion.
Did you say he was richer than Santa Claus? Yeah. You're getting a cold in your stocking for saying that. Richer than Santa Claus.
But he's looking for a team. I believe Kansas City's also looking for a team. How big a threat do you feel from these other cities around the country?
I'll start here. It's a couple of things. One, look, I think the mayor said exactly right. The future's in our hands. It's up to the fans right now to buy these tickets over the next few weeks from now to the end of January. Now's the time for us to show our commitment, our desire to keep the Hornets here. As we do that, it does a couple of things. Yeah, according to their lease, it keeps them here for at least the next year and potentially through 2014 as we continue to hit attendance benchmarks. But more importantly, it sends a message to the league. It sends a message to the league that we want the Hornets, we're committed to keeping the Hornets stay here. Not meaning me and Mitch, but we as a community. So I think the future's in our hands. Secondly, I think that you heard a number of business leaders. You listen to them and you hear them talk. Morris has talked publicly. Others have joined with him today. And there are others I know that aren't here today that are interested. I think we've got a number of business leaders that are more than willing to step up to the plate and help put a coalition together to buy the team and keep them in New Orleans, in Louisiana. So I'm not worried about other communities or other potential purchasers at this point. I think Mitch is exactly right. The future's in our hands. The next step is for our community to step up, buy those tickets, do what we can over the next 12 games. Talking about a finite period of time, between now and the end of January, buy those tickets, show the Hornets, show the NBA we're serious about keeping them here. Look, I think it's good for the NBA to keep the team here. I really do. I don't think it's good for the NBA to move this team out of New Orleans for a lot of reasons. So I think as long as we can show the fans commitment and support, we'll give them every reason to keep the team right here in Louisiana.
Thank you, Governor. The Governor and I both have spoken to Commissioner Stern, and I think that we both got the same feeling and impression from him. First of all, he had a lot to do with the team coming, and I believe that he is completely committed to the city of New Orleans and to the state of Louisiana. I feel very comfortable that we're going to be able to put together a leadership team to buy the Hornets, and I also believe that we're going to make a march. This is not the first time we've been in this situation. We've found ourselves here with the Saints a couple of times, and of course, there's always a chance that you can lose the team. So I don't think that people can take it for granted. It is going to take some work, and it's going to take some effort. I agree with the Governor also that it would be very bad for the NBA to pull the team out of the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana if, in fact, there's very strong support. So although I'm worried about it, although I know that there's a possibility, I feel fairly comfortable with the commitments that we've gotten from the Commissioner that we can make this happen and that we will make it happen.
John.
Do you feel you have enough time for the attendance? Because you got 12 games. And the public did not know about the benchmark. I just throw it out there about 2 weeks ago. So that average is increased now. You got a couple of games that have had like 10,000. I know the importance of getting that benchmark set. Do you feel you have enough time with 12 games to reach that? And do you wish you had more and the public would have known about this, you know, maybe back in the summer?
Three things. One, absolutely, I think there's time. One, because if you look at the performance last year, they were averaging a much higher attendance last year than this year. Secondly, players are doing a great job on the court. They're producing a great product. The players and the coaches that are playing exciting basketball. We've got some of the league's best players. They're playing well together as a team. We've got an exciting new coach. Chris Paul's one of the most recognizable faces. I don't want to pick favorites. I know West, we got some great players, but look, Chris Paul's one of the most exciting players in the entire league. And he is somebody that when they go play on the road, people will show up to see him and his teammates play. But third, and look, I know we put a lot of emphasis on fans buying tickets over the next 12 games, over the next few weeks to the end of January, but the reality is this, and one of the business leaders made this point, and talking to his business colleagues, Greg made this point. He said, it's not just buying tickets, and that's what we're focused on right now. But we also want people to renew their season tickets, buy their tickets for next year. This isn't just about meeting a benchmark over the next few weeks. That's important. But what we're trying to show the NBA and trying to show the Hornets is that our community wants the team to stay here. Given the level of play that's happening on the arena floor, that's happening in the Hive, that's happening right now, our fans need to show by their attendance, by buying the tickets, by supporting this team, that we're serious about keeping this team here. Otherwise, we'll be in this exact same position a year from now. And so, certainly, our immediate short-term task is to encourage people to go and buy those tickets and fill up the arena and pack the Hive over the next 12 games. But we're also asking fans to make a longer-term commitment to that as well. I think that the team is performing on the floor. They're giving fans every reason to buy tickets and support the team. Really, we have no excuses. They're winning games. They're playing great basketball. I know they've had a couple of setbacks recently, but the reality is they've still got a great record. You know, they're very competitive. And the other thing I'd like to say is, you know, and again, I'll pick on Chris, but you can say this about a number of the players. They've been great off the court as well. You know, they've been involved in the community. They've been involved in New Orleans. So I think this is a chance for the fans to show they're serious about supporting the team. But you raise a very good question. It's not just about buying tickets over the next 12 games. It's also fans showing through. One of the things that Doug pointed out to us was that one of the things that happened between last season and this season is you got fewer annual season ticket holders. The number of season ticket holders is actually substantially lower from this year over last year. And that's one of the reasons the average attendance has fallen. So absolutely, our short-term goal is to get people to pack the arena, but we also want folks to renew your annual tickets, even beyond January 30th. I don't want people to stop going to games in February just because we made the benchmark. One of the things that will be compelling to an ownership team to buy the team, to invest in the team, is to see that fan support. And a parallel, look, I know that we are great football fans, and this is New Orleans Saints country, and that's a great thing. And one of the things I'm so proud of our people is they pack that Superdome. And it's not, we're not Johnny-come-lately fans when you think about it. I mean, the Saints won their first of many, many Super Bowls last year, but the people of New Orleans have been supporting that team year after year after year for decades. Look, I remember when we were 1-15. I remember, I have the pictures. Look, no, we you know, even if we put bags in our heads, we still went to the Superdome. We still supported the team. I think the NBA and I think potential purchasers are looking for fans to show support for the Hornets as well. So, yeah, the next 12 games are important, the next few weeks are important, but this is more than just meeting a numerical benchmark. And I don't want people buying the tickets just because they know the benchmarks are out there. I want people to buy the tickets because they support the Hornets, and they want the Hornets to be here. They understand that it's important to keep them here, and this is our chance. This is in our control. This is something that we can do. Let's show the NBA that we got the best fans in the world. We may not be as big of a market as other NBA markets, but we'll make up for that. We'll overcompensate for that with the enthusiasm of our fans.
We hear from someone from the business community, one of the potential local buyers and where things are at.
You want to take this up? Joe, you want to step up?
Well, thank you. I would echo what the governor said. I think it's very important right now to show the NBA that they can't take our team from us, that we have a local investor interest and we have a local fan interest. I mean, I don't want to sound like a sales pitch, but there are tickets as cheap as $8, so there's really no excuse for anybody to go right now. You have two issues right here. You have the short-term issue, which is everyone should realize that the Hornets have a $100 million a year impact in the city of New Orleans. In a playoff year, they have a $200 million impact. You also have the long-term issue of there's only 30 NBA teams in the whole country. We're unique that we're one of these communities that not only have an NBA team, we're one of 30 cities that have the NBA team, but we also have the world champion Saints here too. I just feel as far as moving this city forward, as far as the recognition, the prestige, the opportunity that we know exists in New Orleans, but we need to get the message out to the rest of the country. It's essential that we maintain the Hornets here, that we have the NBA and we have the NFL. So because of that, I've stepped up, I've shown my willingness to buy 10% of the team. I've recently spoken to Gary Schwett.
I said 20.
Well, I think Mr. Mayor might want to jump in on this one. But I also can say I've spoken a couple of times. I met with and spoke again this weekend with Gary Schwett, and he is willing to purchase more than 50% of the team. So he's still in there, he's still interested, he's still in the game. I've received a lot of interest from potential investors in this community, qualified investors that are interested in investing in the Hornets, and I believe that's very important. Once we have local investors, once we have a local investor group that's committed and passionate about basketball in the New Orleans area, I believe that will send a strong message to the fans and things will improve. But in the short term, January 31st looms an attendance benchmark. I think it's essential we tell the NBA and we tell the country, we are here, we're supporting the Hornets, and we show up at these games.
Last question, Jim in the back. Governor, I believe the state owns the arena, is that correct?
It is.
Is there something specifically you can do in regard to that ownership or that lease to help the team?
Well, yeah, again, that would be certainly part of the conversations with the NBA in terms of their longer-term commitment to keep the team here. The contract that we're under currently, and Doug can walk you through some of those terms, is quite a favorable contract to the Hornets. They don't pay rent on the arena. They keep the revenues they earn from parking, concessions, and so there were quite a number of inducements in the current agreement that are already in place that we inherited. Now, the reality is, I would suspect, as part of them wanting to stay here longer term, they may very well want to come to us and see if there are other opportunities. When we asked them about that on Friday, they weren't ready yet to know what it is that they want to ask for or what it is they might want. And again, some of the things that we've talked about over the last several months have been, if there were opportunities for modest investments to upgrade the arena to allow them to earn more dollars, it's a relatively new arena compared to, for example, the Superdome, so we wouldn't be talking about substantial renovations, but there may be some limited capital investments that would allow them to earn more revenues to keep the team here. But again, they've not made any specific request. There is a contract that they're in with currently, and again, we've got the chairman, Ron Form, the chairman of LSCD, we've got Doug Thornton, who runs SMG, represents the state in those interests. It's a very favorable contract with the Hornets. That's the lease that goes through 2014 that has these attendance clauses in it. But certainly, as part of a longer-term conversation, about keeping them here, we'd certainly be open to sitting down. And again, to the first question, we'd be open to sitting down with them in a way that makes sense for them and for the state. What we're not willing to do is take money from higher education or healthcare and divert it. And nobody here asked us to, by the way. Nobody here is pressing the state to do that. But there may be some creative things that would allow the Hornets to earn more money, make them a more financially viable team, and keep them in here for the long term. So absolutely, we'd be open to sitting down once they understand what it is they might be interested in doing.
All right, again to wrap up, thank all of the business leaders, the governor, thank you very much, and the parish presidents. Again, we're in it to win it. We're going to make it happen. We have before, and I have no doubt that we'll do it again. God bless.